Hi, this is part two of Do We Really Need Big Pharma? When I last left you, we were in a video by this Dr. Pierre Corey. It's an hour-long video that my sister Kathy, who comments on these videos, sent me. And I pointed out that the way it works, there's this anti-parasitical drug that's 40 years old, cheap, 50 bucks for a week's supply on Amazon. And I'm sure it's way cheaper in these, these countries. The way it binds to something called the spike protein of this disease. And here's a cool video to understand, get a picture of this spike protein that a friend sent to me last week.
From the previous video, we learned that SARS-CoV-2, the virus responsible for COVID, seeks out a specific surface protein molecular target to gain access to our cells called ACE2, which stands for angiotensin converting enzyme 2.
Anyway, you see the ball with the orange things, those are called spikes, and those spikes get into this ACE2 receptor. And that is actually, I think a little further in this video.
Metalloprotein found in the lungs, GI tract, kidneys, and blood vessels. Their distribution would explain some of the presenting symptoms of COVID, including respiratory and GI distress, renal failure, and dementia.
So just slow down there. So we have these ACE2 receptors on lungs, our gut, digestive tract, kidneys, and blood vessels. And so all those different types of presentations of the disease, match that. So that's how it works. Spike goes into these ACE2s. Anyway, we have a vaccine coming up very shortly. They're in the U.S., and I think everybody should take it. And hopefully nobody gets sick. So one's made by Pfizer, the other by Moderna. And what's interesting about those is they're unlike any other vaccine that's come before. In fact, they're not really technically vaccines. They're gene therapy. Right there, gene therapy. Basically, the way vaccines used to be done is you use dead or weakened viruses to imitate an infection. Basically, take a virus, kill it or weaken it or whatever so that it doesn't make you sick, but at least stimulates your immune system. But this type of thing with gene therapy is you get the genetic code for the antigen, you put it into yeast or bacteria cells, and then it can be grown rapidly and churn out massive quantities of the antigen. I read this, and this really reminded me of 3D printing, right? How 3D printing, if you know anything about it, it's called additive manufacturing. You don't waste anything. You grow layer upon layer upon layer, and your finished product, and you don't cut away anything. The subtractive manufacturing is what manufacturing used to be. You get a block of raw material, and then you cut away, right? And so I think the old vaccine way was kind of like subtractive manufacturing. You start with the live one, then you kill it or make it less. Versus now you start with just the molecule and you grow it into the antigen. So very cool, and matching the modern manufacturing. And then the question is, okay, how much should it cost and how do we pay for it? And, a little later in this article, look at the subheading, is $1 million too much, okay? Now, so in America, we got Pfizer, which is an American big pharma, and Moderna, which is a wannabe big pharma, also American. So these two big pharmas in America make our vaccine. In China, it's a different big pharma called Sinovac, Beijing, and they're making the vaccine there. And in Europe, we got British Swedish team, Oxford and AstraZeneca, making the vaccine for Europe. So that's how the vaccines for this are coming in all these different nationalities. And we'll conclude this in part 3.